This is WLUW Chicago, 88.7 FM. And we have with us Meredith Hammer. She is running for Circuit Court, Cook County Judge, Cook County Circuit Court Judge. All
Yes,
right,
that's correct. I'm doing great, Trudy. How are you?
very, very well. Well, Meredith, first of all, let's talk about uh, the position of Circuit Court Judge. What do you do, and what kind of cases would you hear?
So, I currently am an attorney and I practice in probate law. I do probate, trust and estates planning, real estate, commercial litigation, and labor and employment litigation. So, the type of cases that I would love to handle are the ones that I've been working through and helping clients navigate through for 25 years. It's probate law.
Mhm. So first up, you would first start with probably a traffic court to get your feet wet, but are you able to communicate with the chief judge level to that you would love to be assigned to probate cases? Of course, that's up to him, but are you able to discuss your area of interest with the chief judge?
Yeah, so we're going to have a new chief judge, as you know, Charlie Beach.
Charlie Beach,
Uh,
I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
Charlie Beach Circuit Court. So Neville is at the Supreme Court level. He's the new
Oh,
Supreme Court
uh-huh.
chief judge.
Yes.
So Charlie Beach will be the new chief judge of the Circuit Court December 2nd. As December 2nd, he gets sworn in. So yeah, like you said, stated earlier, all judges, when we first get on the bench, we handle traffic cases, like you said, to get our feet wet so we don't do anything, that's, crazy. So we get our feet wet. And then after about 6 months or so, we, are talking to the chief judge and the presiding judge. We have presiding judges. For example, we have presiding judge in probate, and the Chancery, the various divisions, the Chancery division. There's a presiding judge. There's a presiding judge of traffic. So while we're working on those traffic cases, we certainly will get a chance to speak with the presiding judges, so that they can help, us determine the area, that the division we would like to, go into. Certainly the ones that we have the most experience in, we can be the most helpful,
Mhm.
right? So that's what I aim to do when I come on the bench, is to talk with everybody and anybody. Certainly, I'm already doing it. One of the things that, we're doing as I'm working as an attorney, right? I'm appearing before judges, um, 2 or 3 times a week at least. Certainly in probate. And so right now I'm a practicing attorney. And so I'm appearing before them. And so they're getting a chance to see me and how I operate, and help people navigate through the court system. So that would just carry over, when I get on the bench after the election, of course.
Mhm. Wow. Okay. So that makes it a little easier for you because at least you know these people and they know you and these judges, presiding judges. Oh, um,
Yeah.
some of our listeners might not know what chancery means. Could you explain?
So Chancery is basically contested mortgage cases, likely mortgage foreclosure. Typically, that's I practice when I'm handling mortgage foreclosure case. I represent, defendants, people who are being foreclosed, their properties are being foreclosed on. So it's that those types of cases are handled in Chancery. Yeah, when there's mortgage foreclosure or maybe even property disputes. If there's property disputes. So that's Chancery.
And property disputes could arise from all different kinds of scenarios, such as
Yeah,
contested cases in probate or other.
like property line disputes,
Uh,
where someone has put up, say, a fence. This is an example, of fence on someone's property, where it may be a foot or two over, and there's a dispute over where the property line is,
mhm.
right? So we want to, people have go to court all the time over property disputes, for sure.
I heard that if it goes over the property line and then the other side doesn't say anything about it, after a certain period of time, does that part that is enclosed become the other side's property?
Well, it just doesn't automatically become the other person's property. There is something what you're probably thinking about. It's called a quiet title. So if you, after 10 years, at least in the state of Illinois, and this have to put out a disclaimer, not necessarily giving out legal advice because every case, the facts of every case is different.
Right.
But after 10 years, I know as a with quiet title, you have to file a quiet title claim and petition the court to quiet the title into your name. And so you would have to do that after so many years of um, the line being moved, where your property, when you're encroaching right on the other property owner's property and they're silent on the matter for so many years, they can still fight it, right? Even if you petition the court to quiet title in the property, that area of the property in your name, they could still fight it. It would still be a court. It could be a court battle, but oftentimes people don't because, like you said, if you've gone so many years, so long with that, then why are you speaking up now? So it can become a contested battle. I do quiet titles too, particularly with regard to property and taxes, where individuals haven't they've lost the property because they haven't paid taxes for so long. And so you there's a quiet title. I do quiet titles, in other cases too. It just depends on the facts. I've done one with a client of mine who lost his parents. And long story short, he would have been adopted, but we didn't have any paperwork. So the parents passed away, he could not get the property in probate court. So we had to go another route. So we waited. We waited for 10 years after his parents died and quiet titled the property. And he continued to pay the mortgage on the property. And ultimately, he was able, after 10 years, to do what we call a quiet title, and was able to get the property titled in his name.
Wow.
So, like I said, every case is different. The facts of every case is different, and property can be a little complicated, more than people may think. But I love it. I love tracing back the history and the familial history and trying to figure out how to help people, get what they deserve, right? And
Mhm.
what the family, has really wants them to have. I know in that particular case I just mentioned, they were longtime friends of my family. And when his mom died, I knew that what she would want, and so I was very eager to help he and his family, retain ownership of that property. And they still have it to this day. It's been probably 20 years that, since she's passed and since we had to go through that process. So yeah.
Was he able to maintain that property during those 10 years?
Yep, he paid the mortgage. He kept it up. He actually we got a renter. I contacted the mortgage company and explained to them the situation. I even went to court. I talked to a title company to try to help him figure out the best way to get legal title to the property. And ultimately, like I said, after 10 years, he maintained the mortgage. He paid the taxes. He paid the insurance on it, and he needed to do all of those things in order to quiet title it after 10 years, pursuant to the law, the quiet title law. And so he was able to maintain it. We went to court. The judge was happy. The mortgage company was happy. And he was happy. It was a win-win-win situation for the city, for the court, for the mortgage company, for him, for his family. So, and he
Wow.
still has it. It's been still rents it out. It's improved in value, and his family, his parents' legacy, real estate passed to him, and he's going to be able to pass it down to his kids.
Right. And during those 10 years, he was able to rent it out or live in it as well? Mhm.
Yes, He initially lived in it, then he rented it out actually to a friend of his mom's,
Oh,
right? Actually to a friend of his mom's. And like I said, we just called the mortgage company explaining them the situation, and he kept up the payments and kept up the taxes, and so everyone was happy,
right, right.
including me,
Yes,
including
definitely.
me. Yeah.
So in a lot of these cases, your capacity is an attorney, but you're already getting into the mindset of the judge, like what is fair for everybody, and is that true?
That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Helping My goal as an attorney and as a judge is to help people, right? Help them navigate through this court system that can sometimes be overwhelming and complicated, and especially when a loved one dies and they may have to go through probate. It's a time of crisis. So people just don't know what to do. Likely they've never been to court. And then, they're dealing in a time where, someone very close to them has passed away and they're trying to stay in their home or trying to stay in the property that their parents, like in my friend's situation, has spent a lifetime, you know, purchasing, buying, and investing in. And so, yes, for sure, I definitely am in the mindset of helping people. Certainly, as a judge, there are all kinds of, um, things that we can do to help improve the efficiency of the case management system, and the processes as a judge. I'm licensed in Illinois, Indiana, and the District of Columbia. So I've had an opportunity to practice in all those three different jurisdictions, and I can see and compare and contrast some of the things that works best and some of the things that don't work as well, right? So, and we just happen to have in Illinois the same case management system that we have in Indiana. And so there are some things that I think I can do as a judge from the bench with regard to what we call judicial case management. And as like I said earlier, as far as improving the process, the probate process, and how long it takes, you know, um, individuals to get through that court process, as well as housing court or even mortgage foreclosure. There are just some things that I do and have done and experienced that I believe I can help people when I get to the level of a judge on the bench.
So the judge tries cases, but then there's the administrative side. So now you after all these years of practicing, you could kind of tell how the court could be more efficient. So are you able to lend that insight into the administrative side of your duties as a circuit court judge?
Absolutely, especially having, like we just discussed, practice as an attorney, and also having seen it, the court from the other side. I worked for the clerk of the circuit court for the last three of them. And, on that, the clerk's office, as you probably know, they sit alongside the judges and help with that administrative process, right? And so that's one of the things that I've had the opportunity to do as the deputy general counsel and legal counsel to the clerk of the circuit court, is help on that administrative side. When I was there under Dorothy Brown in 2018, the clerk of the circuit court then in the clerk's office helped implement a case management system for the first time in Cook County. And, we were instrumental. I was instrumental in helping to implement the case management system. And we still use it today. Same thing, same case management system that we use in Indiana. So I'm very familiar with it. It's an electronic e-filing system, right? And my background is in computer science and software development. So I was able to use my technology background and my legal background that I obtained, 25 years ago, to in this day for such a time as this, right? It came around that I was able to use it and to help transition and move into the use of the case management system from the administrative perspective while working at the clerk's office for the judges. So I'm happy to be able to now move on the other side of that once I extend to the bench and receive some of the benefits of what we did and started back in the clerk's office in 2018 and continue to help and improve it more and more and more. There's so many people, including judges, who really that they don't have a technology background, and I do, and I'm happy to be able to put it to use even as on the bench. I'm
What
looking
other
forward to it.
what other improvements? Because every all the time you could see how it could be improved, but any examples of how that case management the system could be improved now?
Yeah, I mean, there are some comparisons in probate, for example, just so much quicker. We could, do open probate so much quicker. So, for example, I worked on a family member's case in Indiana in September, and I petitioned the court, had all the necessary documentation together and petitioned the court in Indiana to open probate. It took 4 days to file the paperwork and open up the probate. And so my family member, whom I'm helping, all she has to do now is wait for 3 months in order to distribute any property. In Illinois, it's not as quite as easy because I think we just don't take advantage of the system, the electronic system. What we have to do in Illinois, and it's not pursuant to any law, it's really pursuant to the presiding judge of probate. They have what they call these standing orders. So to do the same thing in Illinois, to open a case in probate, I have to physically go into court. Whereas in Indiana, I just file it online and the judge takes a look at it on the other side. In Illinois, I have to physically print and go into court, which requires me to wait for the judge to set a court date. So I filed a motion for one of my clients in Illinois about 6 weeks ago to open probate. I have the court date next Wednesday. So that's a big difference. So I'm still waiting to go physically to court to present the paperwork and so the judge can open probate. It's taken at least 6 weeks. Whereas in Indiana,
4 days. Yeah.
it
6
took
weeks,
4 days
4 days.
and never had to go to the judge. They're just more efficient. Now, I will say comparatively, the number of cases that we handle in Illinois, it's 1 million cases a year, not necessarily all in probate, but the caseload is so much bigger. All the more reason, right, for us to have effective and efficient case management and to use the technology more effectively, efficiently. There is no reason legally that I have to physically come into court and present paperwork when I could upload it. And I did as well in Illinois and upload it, and the judge should be able to see it on the other side and say, check off the marks and say, yep, you can open probate and go to work, right? Now, there is a difference in the waiting period after I do get it opened, which extends the time too. After I get it open on Wednesday, hopefully I'm not missing anything, because if I am missing something, the judge will kick it out and I'll have to come back, right? And it may take another 6 weeks. But once I do get it opened, I have to wait 6 months. We have to wait 6 months for any creditors to appear and file any claims versus 3 months in Indiana. So it's just, I can open and close probate in Indiana in 6 months. It's going to take me 1.5 years in Illinois. Because guess what? When I close probate in Illinois, I have to physically go back in court and present all these documents, where in Indiana, it's just filing it electronically. So those are some huge differences, and as well as the cost. The cost, it's triple the cost in Illinois to open probate and to get it through. It's triple the time as compared to a place like Indiana. And I've just experienced it. I experienced it all the time. So those are some of the improvements that I think that I can push, right? Because I've seen how it's done in another jurisdiction, and I can push those and make those suggestions and hopefully improve and grant and create better access to what I call better access to justice
Right.
for the citizens of Cook County.
You said that there are a million cases a year in Illinois. A part of those million cases is are they these extended cases, these extensions that have to be 6 months apart and all that?
No,
No, it's
no, it's just
a million new cases.
a new million cases filed a year at least in Illinois. These are all new cases. The extensions, it's multiple millions, getting extensions and continuances. It's a lot, it's a lot. It's a lot going. That's why I said we have to become more efficient. We
Right.
need to use our technology better, right? We have it. We just need people who understand it, like me. Finally, I'm getting to use my technology background and,
Right.
business processes analysis background, as well as my legal background to help people, right? This is the reason why I came out of undergrad and received a Bachelor of Science from Purdue in 2001 and then went to law school, right? So I finally getting a chance to use both those backgrounds to help improve really the quality of the experience that of the court system that people go to. So over a million cases that are filed each year in Cook County.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
justice does not need to be so bogged down.
absolutely. Well said. I couldn't have said it better than myself. I couldn't have said it better myself. We want to give people better access to justice. I that's what I call it. We're giving them creating a quicker, more efficient opportunity. Like I said, in times of crisis and chaos, people don't need to be bogged down with red tape and just, us not knowing how to help them get through the system or us not knowing how to help them utilize technology. There's no reason why I need to come into court, right, and open up probate as long as everything is in order. There's no reason. I love to see the judges, but there's no reason because I do it. I don't do that in Indiana. I don't do that in another jurisdiction. So there's just no reason for me to do that. So I would really like, and I'm going to come back and tell you about the improvements that I'm making.
Yes,
That's what I
definitely.
would love to do.
Yes, definitely. We would love that.
Yeah.
So when let me see, there was something. So you mentioned that justice is bogged down, and then of course, uh, my partner Bill Morton. So he's recovering from his injury, and then he found out that medical records they don't transfer between institutions. Like one institution, like let's say the hospital, they have their set of medical records, and then now he's in a nursing facility to
Mm-hmm.
operate, and the two places are not communicating with each other, and there's the third hospital, the second hospital that checks up on him, see where he stands now. So all of these different first, entities are not communicating with one another. What
Mm-hmm.
about in the justice system? Is there anything like that?
You mean where different courts communicate with each other,
It's like
or like Chancery
no,
and probate?
no, like one case, if it happens like that, the records, like let's say there's an appeal, and then and well, that should like transfer over. But are there any circumstances in which legal papers that might have to work courts or even maybe mediators? Is there good communication with the records among the different entities in the legal system?
I think it's gotten better. See, the clerk's office is the keeper of the record.
Uh-huh.
That's why the clerk was in charge of rolling out, implementing that case management system
Mhm.
because they keep all those files. whether they're physical files or electronic files. The clerk is the keeper of the record. That's their job, right? So I think at the clerk's office has gotten better and improved their systems and processes and use with the use of technology. So as the clerk's office continues to improve, so will any communication between the courts and the different divisions, as well as the different levels of the court, like circuit court, appellate court, even the Supreme Court. The clerk's office, as a matter of fact, comes under the guidance of the AOIC, which is the administrative office of the Illinois courts, right? Which has some connection and influence from the Supreme Court. So I do think that the courts, whether it's the Supreme Court, the Circuit Court, or the Appellate Court, and other partners like the Sheriff's Office, the Police Department, the other like Public Defender's Office, the State's Attorney's Office. I think all of those entities work better because the clerk of the circuit court is sort of in the middle of all of that. That's what I experienced working there. And as you stated earlier, from the administrative side, and being the keeper of the record and being in charge of that. It sounds like a simple thing, but we just talked about how the interplay among just a few of those different entities are dependent on the clerk and the clerk of the circuit court doing their job and doing a good job, right? And so as that improves, certainly the communication and I think the clerk's office does an excellent job. I come from there. We did a good job, and we were constantly great employees that work there, super, super smart. There are a lot of people that have worked for the clerk's office and retired after 25, 30, 35, 40 years. So you've got really knowledgeable people who have helped to improve those processes over the years. So I think that they do a really good job. I think certainly it's going to get better and better and better. So
I think in an interview with Iris Martinez, she mentioned that her office scanned about 1.5 million records, so that they could, to paper records, so that they're digital. That's a huge task.
Yeah, that was some of the leftover, I think, from what under Dorothy Brown, what we were trying to do, because we used to be all paper. We used to be all just, if you can imagine, just paper everywhere and trying to manage it, this big warehouse. And so certainly, and then you've got wills that get filed with the clerk's office and they get archived off. So now we have technology, right? Where like you said, we scan it in and we keep electronic records and it's just a different ballgame. Like I said, I went to school 20 years ago for a computer science degree, and people thought I was crazy when I got my law degree. Said, where are you going to ever use a law degree in a computer science degree? Lo and behold, we come today. Really, the COVID pandemic forced the use of technology and created this whole notion of people coming to court in a virtual world, right? So, before that, not so much. We didn't do it so much.
Oh, so those records that were paper, everybody was just dragging their feet. They didn't. It would take a long time to scan everything, so they were dragging their feet and not doing it. But finally, they really had to do it.
They finally really had to do it and understood the need for it because people weren't able to come to court in person. People weren't able to come to court with a piece of paper and say, "Here you go," right? It changed the way that the courts do business. Before that, they were stamping, physically stamping, and those stamps are expensive. Nowadays, it's an electronic stamp. I can upload it from my living room, and it's electronically stamped, and I don't even have to go to court. Now, I do believe in going to court for a trial, or if you have a situation where you're dealing with children, because the judge wants to physically see the person, make sure that they're not drinking, they can smell alcohol in their breath or something like that. But like I said, for something like a status hearing for probate, or for the other day, I was in a, law division case, a breach of contract case, The judge says, there's no way I'm bringing you back to court. You get on a virtual hearing. It took 5 minutes. So that saves my client money. I don't have to travel downtown
Right.
and pay $17.50 for 30 minutes to park, which I've done before, for a 5 minute hearing, right?
Yes.
I don't have to charge my client for that. It's 5 minutes. I'm in my home or my home office on Zoom, right? So that saves money and creates efficiency, and helps to move the case along. We can get things done quicker. The judge can have a court call of 50 cases as opposed to 10, right? So we move things along. This is my opinion, right? So I think that it just works so much better. Before the pandemic, we did not do it. Now we do it mostly. We do that mostly if we can.
Yes.
And I have a lot of cases that I appear on virtually.
It sounds very reasonable. What kind of cases still use paper? Right now, you could DocuSign, and then you don't really have to have that paper copy that gets scanned. Everything is could be done virtually almost, but
I think so. Electronically, yeah, I think so. But again, people
electronically.
have to get comfortable with it. So, like I said, in probate, we're still sort of dragging our feet with opening and closing. I don't know why. At least Illinois, but certainly in Indiana, I almost never have to see a judge, right? So, if anything else, I guess it is job security to instruct attorneys to come in, but I do think that we can offload some of the paper. And I'm adverse to paper because I do believe in technology and I do, my background is in computer science. I just don't understand it, right? I don't understand the need, but I don't know really of many cases that necessarily need to be using paper, to
Mhm.
be honest with you. I don't know that there's a need, except for there is a desire for some of the courts to, I mean, utilize paper. We've cut down on the use of paper so very much.
But all those
So
paper records are still stored somewhere. Those that got scanned.
they scan them, but they only keep them for so long, and then they
Oh,
will destroy them because we only have so much room.
that's what I was
We're
thinking.
yeah, we run out of room. So there is, like I said, the Administrative Office of the Illinois Courts, the AOIC has a manual. It's called the Manual on Record Keeping.
Mhm.
The MRK, the Manual on Record Keeping, is what we live by. The clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County has the biggest, right. It's a keeper of the record for the largest court system, in the states, maybe even in the country. But there are other clerks' offices in the state of Illinois, and all of us live by, right, and are governed by the manual on record keeping. In that manual on record keeping, it identifies how long you're supposed to keep certain files.
Oh.
So, like criminal records, we're supposed to keep them for so many years, but certainly other kinds of records, we can destroy them after 5 years or 10 years, and they get destroyed, right? So we don't keep them forever. We do scan them in, and then we destroy them.
Mhm.
So that is a thing, right? That we do. We do, right? It's a process. We have a whole facilities management team at the clerk's office, and they manage those records, those physical files. They're in the warehouse. They work in the warehouse. I've never been, but I've heard about it. It's huge. It's
Yes.
thousands of feet. I've seen them on camera, but they manage and they have they're governed by that manual on record keeping. So they can't just take a document in and throw it in the trash. They can't do that
Mhm.
because we're the keeper of the record, and we're governed by the law, the Clerk of the Courts Act, right, which manages how we're supposed to keep those records. And the manual on record keeping discusses and governs how we're supposed to keep them, how long, and how we can destroy them.
And every record is probably tracked to when it was received, when it was scanned, and when it was destroyed.
Absolutely. That's perfectly said, as you can imagine. Absolutely. And when it was, yeah, like you said, received, scanned, archived,
Oh,
And when it was destroyed, and even the boxes that it was, that was destroyed in, and when it was, like you said, when it was destroyed, and that's kept on record, and then we have a whole archival system and person who manages archives. So there are certain records that maybe like dramatic records that deal with certain things. Like I know our archivist at the clerk's office was able to track back some documents that was connected to the clerk or to the Pope, right? To the Pope, when we found out the new Pope was from Dalton. So he found some interesting documents from a historical perspective that he was able to track to the Pope. Pope Leo, I think is his name,
yes.
to the village of Dalton. So in his connection to Chicago. So those are kind of interesting, fun facts that we have, where we have an archivist at the clerk's office who, again, we keep the record and we keep it, Julius, he's the archivist there. He's been there for 25 years.
Just one archivist.
He has a team, but he's just one person. And he's got these big books, these big books where where he keeps them, in certain areas of the clerk's office. I think it's on the 12th floor. It's very interesting to me. It's fun. It's fun to talk about.
What is his Julius's last name?
It's a funny last name. It's like Machikowski or Machikowski, I think is his last name. I can certainly give it to you.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
That would be a great interview, I think.
I think so. He's a fun person too to talk to. I can sit and talk to him for hours.
Yes.
I'll have to connect you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So why did you and every state that you got your license, you have to pass that state's bar exam to get that license, right?
Yes.
And then what is the connection between these two states and DC that you decided to it's good to have a license in DC as well?
So I'm from Indiana. I was born and raised. I went to have a church affiliation in DC. So some friends who I knew and was affiliated with the same church, close friends of mine, lived in DC, and I wanted to move. And I went and visited, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I said I wanted to move. Now, this was 25 years ago. You know how young people are. We can be, when we're young, I wanted something different. And I wanted to, I just enjoyed the diversity of DC, and I wanted to move. So I moved, and I got licensed there. And now a couple years into it, my mom got sick, and she was diagnosed with leukemia. And so I wanted to come back home to be with her. And, the doctors told her she was going to die after 18 or 19 months. And so I said, well, I need to spend time with my mom. Well, she didn't die. I did move back home, but she didn't die. We just took care of her, and she just got better. She has since passed on. She died about 5 years ago, but not from leukemia. She just got older. And so I moved back after a couple of years. I moved back to Indiana, took care of my mom for a few years, and then decided I wanted to move to Chicago for opportunity. And some friends of mine actually worked for the clerk of the circuit court at the time. And I met with her, and she said, I want you to come and work with me. And I wanted to come. So I moved to Chicago to work at the clerk of the circuit court's office, and I loved it. I just love being here. I still love it. I really enjoy Chicago. I enjoy the political scene. It's a little dramatic, but I do enjoy all of it. I enjoy being here. I enjoy the opportunity. So I guess that's to answer your question. It was like, wanting to move, wanting to have opportunity, wanting to do something different. But I definitely need to get licensed in all of those 3 different places, right? And I'm happy that I did. I'm still practicing, and will continue to practice.
So how much more did you have to study for the bar exam for Indiana and Illinois? Since you already got the DC one, was there a lot of study, or it's just like
No.
No?
No, so yeah, the interesting thing, so from Indiana to DC, my thing is once you pass a bar, you can pass another bar.
Mm.
So I did. I went from Indiana to DC. I took the DC bar. I didn't study. I just took it. And
Mhm.
you only need to pass. You don't need to get an A or a B or a C. You just need to pass it. And
Oh.
so I did. And part of it is writing, and part of it is multiple choice.
Mm.
It's like a 2 day exam too. So I passed it. And then after so many years of being a licensed attorney, once I moved to Illinois, I was able to do what they call waive in.
Mm.
So it took me about a year to get to waive in. It's because I had reciprocity, because I had been practicing for at least 7 years. So I had to go around and ask a bunch of judges and lawyers to refer me. So I couldn't practice for that whole year.
Mhm.
I had to practice under another attorney.
Mhm.
I practiced and had another attorney sign off on everything that I did. I
Mhm.
worked at the clerk's office. So
Mhm.
I had another attorney. Then I had to fill out a lot of applications. I had to go to a lot of paperwork. I had to go through a character and fitness interview multiple times. It was more challenging and harder to wade into Illinois than it was to take those two bars. And it cost like $2,000. It cost money to do it. But I'm
Wow.
happy I did it. And so I'm licensed in 3 different jurisdictions. I do have to maintain the licenses through, the CLEs, which they count. It's called continuing legal education.
Yes. Mhm.
So I have CLE requirements for all 3 different jurisdictions.
Mhm. Yes, I think when I interviewed Judge Cunningham, she mentioned that they have to keep on just taking a certain amount of hours of classes every year,
Mhm.
attorneys.
Yes, yes, and they do transfer from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So I don't have to keep doing it, for all three. But so if I do one for one, I can see if it can transfer over to the other one. And they tend to.
What do you are you required does everybody have to take the same courses or are there you could choose?
Yeah, you can choose. So like for example, we are required to maintain so many hours of ethics,
Mm,
right? So some of the courses are ethics, but you can take there are different types of ethics courses. We have to maintain so many hours of credit hours of like mental health courses and professional development courses for obvious reasons. I think it's great that we have to required to do like mental health. And then, there is something called long distance courses we can take where it's virtual. There's so many hours, but we are required to take so many hours of in person courses, like where you have to physically be in the classroom. But like so, like for me, I take a lot of probate, estate planning,
exactly.
courses that are focused on my area of practice, so I can see if there are any improvements in the law or best practices, right? In the law, how other attorneys are handling things, and help me understand what's the best way to do certain things, or I can help them, if offer them advice on the best way. I've taught some courses too.
Oh,
After you've done this for so long, you can teach. You tend to want to teach, like I said, and offer some of the best practices. Or if you are, the law changes slightly or improves slightly, you want to be able to speak on that and inform, your colleagues and other attorneys about those kinds of changes. So I've taught, and certainly when you teach the courses, you get double the credit. So you always want to teach if you can sometimes. So yeah, there's CLE, like you were saying, Justice Cunningham said. I think I saw that interview where she was talking about just maintaining the continuing legal education, and just meeting with other colleagues and other attorneys, and if not judges. I just was in one with the ARDC. I sit on I'm a hearing board member for the Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission. So I hear cases. I'm gonna sit on a panel of three where we hear cases that come before us of other attorneys who may have complaints filed against them. So I was just in a seminar where I got CLE credit for that. And Justice Cunningham was there too, because we're appointed by the Illinois Supreme Court to sit on those hearing panels.
Mm.
right? So and so they have an annual meeting each year where they do a seminar. So we were just there talking about. I was telling her about some of the improvements I want to make on the bench with regard to probate, and she said, "Great."
So, could you give us an example of how something was changed in probate that the attorneys needed to get updated with?
So for me, it was and these changes are going to be very nuanced. Some of the legal terms like what it means to be incapacitated
Mhm,
as opposed to or saying diminished capacity or limited capacity as opposed to just incapacitated, right?
mhm,
And just some of the language that goes around describing what that means from the code. Like there's a law that talks about diminished capacity and how we have to handle um, a person, an individual who may have, as an attorney, that who's we're representing that person. How do we handle that person, and how do we determine if they have a diminished capacity versus a restricted capacity or limited capacity? So those are sort of nuanced kinds of, definitions to the
mhm,
language around it. But also we've had a discussion amongst the attorneys, the 50 or so in the room, about kind of what that means, especially those of us who practice in the area of probate or do trust and estate planning. Like, when I draft a trust or power of attorney, I have to understand if the person who's hiring me to do it has the capacity to do it.
mhm,
Are they thinking clearly? Or in some cases, do they have a diminished capacity? And what does that mean? Or do they just have a limited capacity or restricted capacity? Can I still represent them? Can I still handle them and take their money and do their power of attorney? Do they have the capacity to sign off on it before a notary? Right. So those kinds of conversations,
mhm.
um, they're nuanced, but that's what we discussed. One thing that we discussed at this last seminar, among other things, was mental health. Mental health. We had a person who is an attorney and a mental health professional who works for the ARDC and runs the program, where we can actually go to them and ask for help if we're ourselves experiencing some mental health challenges. And so, a lot of attorneys do. Being an attorney is a stressful gig, right? So a lot of times, when you're dealing with clients who may themselves be in times of crisis. So we are always looking, at least I am, looking to, get advice on how to handle those clients and then how to handle ourselves, right? When we're in need of help. I know during the COVID pandemic, when we were working from home so much, it was challenging for a lot of people, especially a lot of attorneys who I know for me, I was very challenged from working from home because I live by myself and I don't have any children and I don't have any animals, right? So it was a challenge for me as well as other many attorneys who worked from home and dealing with the stressful jobs, right? So those are a couple of the examples of the types of.
I think you're getting buffered. Just wait a little bit and then I will reconnect. You just got buffered. I hope that you could hear me.
Sorry about that, Trudy.
Oh, it happens. That's okay. This,
Yeah,
well, you're back. We were talking
yes.
about uh, the mental health of attorneys and being alone during the pandemic. How, I think that's where uh, you got buffered.
Yeah, that was just a time where, like I said, I know that when we did the board seminar that year, the the person who did the mental health portion discussed the need to, do it and to address concerns and issues for attorneys who work from home.
Mhm.
And so earlier I was preaching the efficiency of the case management so that we could work virtually, work from home. But there is a cost, there's a price to pay in some cases with that. So you have to, I think, understand the need to, like for me, what I started doing, I live across the street from the beach in
Mhm.
Chicago. So I can go take a walk on the beach for lunch, right? As opposed to just sitting here and just pushing through, right? And so just realizing, acknowledging that, or just taking a break, or just going to get a cup of tea because I do work from home. Same thing, just taking a break and just, but acknowledging that I need it.
Well, earlier
Yeah.
you mentioned that in some cases, children, those cases, they want them to be in court so that they could read the body language, make sure that everything is, everyone's state of mind is being assessed through their body language. And that kind of sometimes might transfer over to uh, that interaction in court that you were not able to have during the pandemic. Could you comment on those two?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that, there were cases that were being heard in person, few and far between during the pandemic, those kinds of cases, because as we agree, a lot of those individuals, they need to be seen in person. Like I said, to determine their state of mind, their body language, um, the smell, on their breath, all of the above. So a lot of those cases were continued, kept being continued, but and then there was the distancing aspect that we were able to do, 6 feet apart and that kind of thing. The courthouses were cleared out, though. The clerks worked from home in many cases. So those who could work from home did, but certainly the judges and individuals who needed to come to court came to court. But it was certainly a challenging time for sure. But we're back meeting in person mostly when for those types of cases when we need to. Yeah.
So, are there any other cases that usually uh, are in court rather than virtual? Criminal cases? What other
Yeah,
cases?
criminal cases for sure. Any trials that need to be had, like if it's a full blown trial where you have a jury. I was just observing a trial. It was a labor and employment litigation case, but it was like a 12-person jury. They were there present, the judge, the litigants, and all of their attorneys were there. It was a full courtroom. So those kinds of cases tend to be in person because it's a trial for one, and they're paper sensitive. So you've got a lot of labor litigation cases, just especially if a person has worked at a certain location for a number of years, you have to bring in all of their history, work history, and that kind of thing. So they tend to be document intensive.
Mhm.
So you've got these big binders that you're putting together, and you've got people reading the binders, and you've got the jury looking on the overhead, or passing paper. So those tend to be in person. Any trial is going to be in person, and certainly, like you said, criminal cases where you need to, you know, physically see your accuser. I would want to see certainly anyone accusing me of any sort of crime. I want to see them in person, right? They need to come up in here and see me, and I'm going to be there too, right? So criminal cases for sure, any trials.
Mhm. I don't know if this applies to legal, but kind of. In real estate, when they close, before everybody sat around the table. What about now? Do you know if they could do that virtually, like closing real estate?
They can, and they
Uh-oh. I think we got buffered again, Meredith. We'll get through this. We'll just have to start a little bit over.
Yes.
Real estate
Yeah,
close.
I would say that yeah, the real estate title closings
Yes.
have been done in virtually. They changed the law. The law was changed around notaries, and notaries can do it remote, and actually get the documentation signed digitally, and everybody can be remote if they want to. I will say it's a little harder to do that because it's hard enough because it's so much paper when you're doing a closing and you've got people around the table and you're signing, and you're notarizing. When you've got to do that virtually, and I've done one virtually before, it's work, right? Because you're uploading, you're emailing, or you may have a system where you got to upload it. It's a little bit more work. You do have to get used to it.
Yeah,
But
verifying and it's more complicated in that case. In
it
that
can be a little bit more, it's intense. It's a little bit more, I mean, it's doable. I've done it.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily, for those, I think that doing it in person is easier.
It seems like it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So how many years of experience do you have as an attorney?
25.
Okay. And then at what point did you feel that now I've got enough experience under my belt, and there are some things that I really want to address and change as a judge that I would be able to do as a judge. What convinced you to run?
When I moved here years ago, I was not so convinced, but as I appeared before judges and talked to other people, I said, well, I can do that. Right. And then I saw the need, as I said earlier, I just compared my experiences and the experience I had in other jurisdictions, the experience I had working in various places. And I served as administrative law judge for a time, and I enjoyed it. And I thought, I can do this, right? I want to do this. And I got some ideas that I think that I can make. And I just want to help people, more people. I can help so many people doing what I do as an attorney. I can just help dozens and dozens more, hundreds of people, not hundreds of people, as a judge,
Mm.
right, out on the bench every month, every day, right. Certainly improving systems and processes in the courtroom can help many, many more people. So, you know, I ran countywide in 2022. So about a year before that, and then like I said earlier, my mom passed away in 2019. My mom had given me a gavel when I graduated from law school 25 years ago. She gave me a gavel. So the vision was already there. We had talked about it. And so it was something that I always dreamed of doing. Right. And so when she passed away and I was here and, I said, that really gave me the conviction to do it. Her passing really solidified the conviction for me to say, it's time to do this. It's time to charge after this. It's time to go after this.
And you feel that you're ready by now. That
I'm
is
ready. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it. I was in court the other day and I said, I really like this. And I'm constantly studying the judges, right, to sort of see how they do things. And sometimes I do think, well, I can do that better, or I need to take some pointers from that judge. And, I can, take some pointers from it. But I definitely think I'm just, plus I'm a woman of a certain age, Trudy. I just had a birthday. I just had a birthday, double
happy
nickels.
birthday. Happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Meredith.
So I turned 55, and once you get to a certain age, you there's some confidence that comes, I think, right? So I just turned 55. That's another reason I'm here. I believe my lived experiences will dictate the decisions that I make. They inform the decisions I make. So I've got a lot of experience in life as well as a practicing attorney, and just in other areas. Like I said, as my degree in computer science, the work I've done there, the work I've done at the clerk's office. I've worked with so many different people at so many different levels. I've helped people, from the pro bono work for, the homeless person, right? Or the person who's lost their home, or the person who's lost their mom, the person who the businesses. I've owned a business myself, so I help small businesses. I've done the administrative side of things, right? I've been in labor and employment laws in management. I've served as administrative law judge, right, for traffic court, for IDES. So I have a lot of experiences, right, that I believe I can speak to from the bench. So that all of that has given me confidence as well.
I'm
I'm
pretty,
ready.
I'm pretty sure that in the beginning, you were just concerned with getting your case right and um, getting the good, successful outcome. But at what point did you start having enough confidence to start observing judges, how they do things, and
Mm.
just concentrating on your own case?
That's an interesting question, because you're right. In the beginning, I was a nervous wreck and I didn't have the confidence. I remember like it was yesterday. I have to tell you that it was kind of an unpleasant experience that I had when I was practicing in Indiana with a judge who was very rude and just really, was a case in Indiana, and I was stumbling through it. And I was nervous, and this judge, it was a woman, she made me even more nervous, and she was just rude and demeaning to me as an attorney. And I thought, what in the world is this about? I just thought it was ridiculous. And here I'm a woman, she's a woman. I thought it was just crazy. So at that point, I started to think, that something needs to be done. I can do better than that. I can certainly do better than that, and serve, because I believe that being a judge is service to people, right? If there's no, she's not, judges aren't higher than me or higher than anyone else. They serve the people, right? So from at that point, and that was, I don't know, probably 10 years ago,
Mhm.
probably 10, 12 years ago in Indiana, in the case that I had in Indiana. So since then, I have just
Did you win that,
not,
did you win that case?
say it again.
Did you win that case?
Yes, yes, yes. I stumbled through it, and ultimately I won the case. It was a moment, but I learned. I learned from it. I learned, the law, and how to, do work in that area of the law. But I also learned and thought, I need to go to the bench. I need to be on the bench.
So who was it? The judge decided the outcome, or was it a jury in that case?
The judge decided the outcome.
Mhm.
The judge decided the outcome. And so she could have just been testing me. I'll never know.
Yeah, right.
But that was the impetus for me to start to think that I could do that too.
Mhm. Wow.
I can do this too.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
was 10 years ago, and you took your time. You studied and thought, and then gained all that experience under your belt.
Yes. Yes, I wanted to do more. I wanted to have more cases, handle more cases, and get more experience.
Mhm.
But and so I'm here, and I'm ready. I'm ready to do it. I'm more and more every day. I'm just charging along. I have my running shoes on, literally, and so I'm running to win the
You filed
race.
did you file your petition signatures?
I did. We filed on Monday. Drove to Springfield and filed them. So relieved. Yeah, we drove. I had never been before. I stood in line. We were at the front of the line. We had somebody stay outside, spend the night outside the night before, so we could be in the front of the line.
Uh,
And got in the front,
what number
and
were you? Uh,
probably eight,
oh, that's pretty good.
probably eight. So that was pretty good. Yeah, I handed them in, and I didn't think that I was going to be emotional, but the moment I handed them in, the gentleman who helped me says, "Do you want a picture?" I said, "Yeah." And I just burst out in tears. I cried and cried and cried. Now my election attorney was there. He says, "What are you doing? You've done this before." I said, "I don't know. It was relief. It's a lot of hard work. We needed 1,000 good signatures. I turned in nearly 3,000. I collected 800 myself. That's a lot of signatures. Just talking to people is humbling. You have to request from people their signature to help you get on the ballot. So, it's a humbling experience, but I like it. I think it's necessary, right? For judges, people who want to be a judge, who want to sit in judgment, have to ask the voters. We need 1,000 good from registered voters in our district. Have to ask them, would you please sign my paperwork to help me get on the ballot? And they get to say yes or no. Some of them say no, but many of them, almost 3,000 of them said yes. Right. And so we filed, and I'm just so excited. I'm ready to just keep it moving, keep going, and just keep going.
And you were required to uh, s- submit in Springfield? Was that required?
Yes,
Ah,
yes, yes. I didn't have to physically go. My attorney was there too, and he could have gone, and without me,
but
but
you
I
did.
wanted to be there. I
Yes.
wanted to be there to, it's a thing. The governor was there. We took a He went through and shook people's hand in line. So he was there. Many of the other congressional candidates were there. Many of the state reps were there. So we took pictures. We had a really good time, and we just got on the road and came back home. We stayed overnight. In the hotel. We had somebody staying out, and then we stayed, and we it didn't take long to turn in the petitions. Everything was in order, and so we filed to and qualified to be on the ballot now. There is potential to have a challenge, right? So we'll see. I don't think I'm going to be challenged, but you never know. I have enough. So if I am, it's fine. I have an opponent that's filed as well in the race.
Oh.
So, but I'm not worried. Let the games begin.
Where did you so your district covers the what the geography?
Okay, that's a really good question. The district covers a large area. It's the lower part of the 7th Ward in Chicago. So starting from 79th Street, which is where I live 79th and South Shore. So south, the 10th Ward in Chicago, all of the 10th Ward, um, Burnham, Calumet City, East Hazelcrest, Dalton. I should have done Dalton, then East Hazelcrest. Fort Heights, Glenwood, east of Western, Homewood, east of Western too. HL, I'm doing the L's. Lansing, Linwood, Markham, east of Western, Phoenix, South Holland, all of South Holland, Sauk Village, Thornton, and Stager. I don't
And
get down to Thornton and Stager much, but all the other villages and cities I've been in, and we've gotten signatures. Oh, in Chicago Heights, so I forgot Chicago Heights. It's east of a very little small part of Chicago Heights, but we've been to all of those areas and collected some signatures from each one of those areas.
so what is the total population, do you know, of the district? Approximately, it doesn't have to be exact.
It's 6 figures. It's more than it's probably close to 200,000 people. And listen, I'm thinking of registered voters. It's probably more than that when you get down to the population. But I'm looking at voters, registered voters. But those who vote, not that many. Only about 31,000 people, actual voters.
Mm.
So that's what we're only looking at 31,000 people voting in this area, in the 17th subcircuit.
That's part of the reason why Bill and I wanted to interview judges and candidates for judges because when he and I work as election judges, and then people come and when they are get the ballot, they say we don't know any of these the judge page. It's like about maybe 50 or so. Different races, and then how am I going to know who to vote for? And they get discouraged, and they don't even vote. So that's
Right.
why we did this so that more people could learn about judges. And it's funny, I think it's actually helped because the last time we were working as an election judge, people actually came to us and said, where's the page for the judges? I have to vote the judge. We were
Well,
so
that's
excited.
great. That is a great to hear. I too hear you. I understand what you're saying. I have that, when I'm out campaigning, I get that all the time. I say, that's why I'm here, right? Is to inform you not only about me, but all of the judges who are running. And I'm so happy. And I want to thank you and Bill for doing this because people can come to you and come to your channel and hear you and get, advice from you on at least who's running, right? So they can go look them up. So it's so important what you're doing here.
So,
So thank you.
oh, thank you. And then, of course, all that you described about your work and what you would do as a judge, that helps inform them about how much you want to help and what you actually would be doing. And then they could better understand why it is important to vote for somebody in that position.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am looking forward to serving. I, continue right now to work with mostly, primarily seniors, helping them. I've done some estate planning in um, Dalton, some seminars. And so they have a resource center in the village of Dalton now. And I'm going to be sitting down there on Mondays just for a couple hours, just talking to seniors, informing them, giving them some advice. And so to your point, just like I said, again, what I'm trying to do is just help people, right? So helping people to understand me and what I've done. It's difficult to do it, in such a short amount of time on the campaign trail. And oftentimes when I'm at these forums or speaking, they give you 2 minutes, right? It's like 2 minutes, consolidated to 2 minutes. So again, what you're doing and giving us the time to, have the conversation, you're asking great questions, you're recording it, it just gives people an opportunity to hear from candidates on what we're trying to do, our platforms, our backgrounds. And so again, I really appreciate you doing this, and you're so professional.
Oh, thank you. And
You're so professional.
thank you. And of course, a lot of this language, the audience is not familiar with. So it's on a recording. They could listen to it again and again, and then
Hmm.
slowly understand and learn from it. Also, where did you get the most signatures? Do you recall?
mm, I will say this. It was so difficult to get signatures in a sub circuit because there are lines drawn, right? And so you want to get signatures from registered voters. So it was difficult. I don't know that I'll say this: we got more signatures. We tried door knocking. It was really difficult. People don't want to open their doors. We were in the 10th ward, getting signatures a lot. And then when the ICE raids started happening, people didn't want to come out. So it's been challenging for that
And the
reason.
weather was nice too, and then they still wouldn't come out.
Once the ICE raids started happening, they moved.
Oh,
They
those.
moved the signatures up a little bit. So we started in August
Mm.
this year as opposed to September last year. But we didn't get as many as I would have liked from on the doors, right? So we went to a lot of events.
Mm.
We went to a lot of fairs, farmers market. Farmers markets is the best place to get signatures. Don't tell anybody. they're they're the best place. People are just nice. They're out. They're enjoying the nice weather or the fall weather. And I don't know what it is, but every farmers market I went to, huh?
They're in a good mood and they're surrounded by pleasant sights and smells.
I guess every farmers market we went to, because I had people helping me. I didn't do it all by myself. I had many volunteers, and I'm so grateful to them. That's part of what made me want to cry too. It's just people just said, "I'm going to help you. I'm going to spend my time helping you, talking to people on your behalf to get you on the ballot." And so the farmers markets were the best. We did a petition drive on the 18th at this coffee house down in the 10th ward called Calibri. Greatest place. It's the lady and her husband owns it. She's Mexican American. He's Black. Um, Great vibe. I'm pointing them out because I like them and I want them to get more business. So that's part of what I do too is encourage the flow of business and support the community, that I live in. And so we did a big petition drive that day and we invited lots of people down and coffee was on me. So we invited people to come out and have a cup of coffee and to learn more about me and the candidate. It was great. We were outside, we were inside, we were walking up and down the block. We took some other business owners some coffee and some of the brownies and the cupcakes that the owner makes. It was just a great experience, right, doing the petition drive. So we did get many signatures that day, and the farmers markets, but everyone has been who we have engaged in and who's been willing to engage has been great. So I'm looking forward to continuing the run and the campaign and doing more media, more interviews, going to more events, just meeting many, many more people.
And we
Mhm.
understand so well about the businesses and the community. If you have strong businesses, you have a stronger community. And if you a business needs a strong community in order to succeed. We learned
Absolutely.
our Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, yes, yes. That's very correct. That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
Well, Meredith Hammer, if our listeners want to learn more about you, where should they go?
So my website is www.meridthhammerforjudge.com. Meridith Hammer, it's Meridth for judge.com. F-O-R, judge, Judge.com. So my last name is Hammer. I say, remember, it's Hammer time.
Mm.
So I'll be on the ballot as Meredith Hammer. So I say, remember, it's Hammer time. It's a fun way for people to remember my name and to remember to vote for Meredith Hammer for judge.
Thank you so much, Meredith Hammer, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.